We're going to be welcoming all the chiefs to give their speech, and it's going to be a little bit of a Vanuatu ceremony, how we bring all the chiefs into the chair or into the stage to present their gift and even speeches.
It's great to have visitors coming, MPs and chiefs from Vanuatu and the other islands coming here to Bundaberg, as well as a number of other South Sea Island communities throughout Australia, and particularly Port Jackson, who have been an instrumental part in getting this conference together.
I've come here today also to learn a little bit more about where I come from and what's going to be led up outside of this conference here this weekend.
I think it's imperative that we all come together and set up a body that can talk to government and can take everyone's views to that next level so that we can be recognised and they can see what our plight is.
I'm here because on behalf of my grandfather, which I met a group of ladies and chiefs that came from the island that my grandfather comes. And when I met them, I made a connection in my heart and my spirit. And deep down in my soul, I wept because I was touching my flesh, my bones, my blood of my grandfather. And I am honoured to be here with my people. I am honoured here to be with what belongs to me that was lost in our family.
The Australian South Sea Islander community has a very special connection to Bundaberg. In the late 1800s, in an effort to grow the fledgling sugar industry, Australian authorities condoned the forced recruitment of Pacific Islanders to be transported to our region to work in the cane fields. Despite increasing condemnation of this practice of slave labour in other Western countries, over 50,000 islanders were separated from their families and were forced to make the long voyage to our country. While many of those workers did return back to their families and their island homes, many families stayed on, and some still live here in the Bundaberg region. As Mayor of Bundaberg Regional Council, I sincerely thank you for the sacrifices made by your ancestors and the contribution they made and you continue to make to our great region. We cannot change the wrongs of the past, but we can learn from them, and together we can look forward to a better future with understanding, respect and dignity. On behalf of our community, I hope that your conference this weekend is very successful and that you enjoy your time here, catching up with old friends and family and meeting some new ones.
I needed wanted to be I would have to change, but changing only made me think that I was just the same like everybody else, like everybody. What's my identity? Is the color of my skin, or is it my curly hair, or my big white green? What makes me want to be you? What makes you want to be me?
Aborigines, Torres Strait Islanders and South Sea Islanders were all slaves and stolen, I've been following for 40 years what sort of compensation and reparation non-Indigenous peoples get in this country. For example, a young man from a Catholic school who was sexually abused, now an adult, he received a minimum of $1 million. $1 million. And if I would have had another 10 minutes, the Native Title Act is nothing but oppression to black people in this country. They're making billions and billions of dollars, the mining company, and giving it peppercorn. So, is there a class action? Every South Sea, Torres Strait and Aboriginal person should be going for a minimum of $1 million per family when you see the billions and billions of dollars that they've made on this country, which is one of the most wealthiest countries in the world. So that's my idea. It's not just my idea. It's activists around this country and globally that the only way we're going to get any form of justice is through profit. And $1 million per family is absolutely nothing. It's about justice and healing for transgenerational trauma.
Together we'll achieve a greater sense of unity, but if they try.
Who are you? You know, one of the biggest unions in Australia asked us a question the other day, who are you? Oh, what you know is what you can prove. So, you know, that's what we have. We have identity problems, we have status. The recognition statement doesn't do it, but we can put pressure on it to make it. As each local goes back, this is what I'll say, you know, as a local chairperson, you go back, you be strong together, you make that recognition statement work.
A big hand to our panel. Thank you very much for your contribution today.
I just want to thank all the august people who are here today and who have been mentioned. My background is Aboriginal Kanak. One grandmother on the Aboriginal side is from the Biri, some of Graceland's mob, and grandmother from Tongoa. My mother and others went to Vanuatu in the 70s, and myself. We met our family and uncle, Chief Tom Tiplamata. His family is here today. When you know who family is, you bring stability. Otherwise, you have twilight children.
I just want to say say that I'm part of the Linking the Generations from Rockhampton. There's a group in Rockhampton, and it's all about linking the younger generation to the older generation. We're trying to encourage handing over the baton and the younger people rising up to do what they need to do to keep the South Sea Island culture and history alive.
My name is Les Hanaway. My grandfather come from Tanner. There's a village there called Lonapatura, and that is where he come from. I've been back to Tanner 12 times now, and so I've been learning a bit of Islam. So when people ask me where my grandfather come from, or where I come from, I say, grandfather him come from Tanner. Village below him is Lonapatura. And so all got a family, and we stop there, and me fellow go there and see him on a regular basis.
I'd like you to be upstanding for a minute's silence. Let's just remember what happened yesterday. There was a very important ceremony that took place here when our chiefs and our people from Vanuatu came and apologised to our people over here for the harm that they had done in the killing of a lot of our Aboriginal people in this area here. We don't want to forget that moment, and so let's not forget that, because a lot of our people died here, and which I didn't know, and thank you for telling us and reminding us yesterday, but a lot of the children were taken back to Vanuatu. So we have a lot of Aboriginal ancestors over there, and we need to remember them too, their families, and what happened to them. And perhaps you've lost loved ones at home, in your community, amongst your families. We've lost a lot this year already. Maybe we could have 1 minute of silence just to remember what happened in the past before we begin the future. Thank you.
So if you have a look in the room, see, they would put 4 bunks in a room. Some of the walls would be knocked out, but there's some single rooms there. And it's just like, it's been left dilapidated like that, how it is because over time. But what we'd like to do, we told them that we don't want that to be ever be knocked down, and whenever the opportunity comes, we'd like to remove it from here and probably take it over to our churchyard or down to Bush Paddock and restore it. Just a bit of a reminder of how they lived their days, but it would have been like the Hilton to them after living, you know, under the conditions where they lived down there. They could just house about 1,000 of them along here, or 1,000 people they could put in these barracks along here. And they were in rows going up here, like about 3 or 4 rows, and they'd run all the way up there.
They shouldn't knock it down, because it's really important.
But I must tell you about, there was this big massacre on this island, 1853. They killed about 2,000 Aboriginals. They drove them from Gin right through, and because the farmers were all setting up properties, they said, you know, some of their cattle were getting stolen or eaten and things like that. And because they had that was their land, their country, and they hunted. They end up, all the farmers, they round them all up and they pushed them all to the river. They reckon the river running blood. They killed about 2,000 of them. So there had to be a big healing process happening for that with the Indigenous people. And they still live over there in that land, some of the Indigenous people. But that's when the big revival come in the 20s and 30s and try to help heal that. And a lot of our island people, they all worked together in having church together, and they still have church there today on odd occasions, but on the Sundays there, so for that healing process, for that bad thing that happened back then. Where those crosses are, that's where we sort of just identify where graves are, because of there's a grave there, and then we work out that maybe so far apart. So we've just put all those crosses up to represent all this land. It's all buried underneath there. all burial site, right through. Now, while there's Aboriginal, Islanders, Chinese, everybody there buried, no black person was allowed to be buried in that cemetery up until 1944.
I found a name, my mum's name was Mussing before she was married, and I found a name on there, a male, 26 years old, died in 1889, and I didn't think there was any of our family here, see? But they must have been here, of Mum's family anyway.
A lot of us come here not knowing some of that, there's some holes in, you know, our history and our identity, and this conference has been about reconnecting and filling those gaps in terms of our own ancestry and families. What it's also given us to do is to say, look, we've received recognition from a federal government that we are a distinct people and with a distinct culture. But that really hasn't resulted in any particular thing. While the federal government recognises that, it's a statement, but there's been limited action in terms of us as a Australian South Sea Islander people. Queensland are the only state that have actually recognised us as a people in a statement of recognition.
What I asked all the youth was, what is being a South Sea Islander and what would you like to see in the future? I said, and it's not just for us now because we're younger. I said, what about our kids and our grandkids? The main topic, one of them was identification. And we spoke on that for a lot, for a long period of time. And one of the things of that was being acknowledged as South Sea Islanders, not being ashamed of being a South Sea Islander. Programs to educate our community in schools, whether we had families come over from Vanuatu or the Pacific Islands to come over and give us history as well, so we can teach our communities around us about who we are, where we're from.
Do fear our God and honor our chief.
Some of the themes that came out of the rest of the ladies' groups were education and scholarship, connection to Ireland and culture, one people, one nation, our heritage reflected in documentation, true vision, a reconnection to country and culture, once again one voice, national body, equal opportunities, education, inclusion of the South Sea Islander history in the curriculum, dual citizenship, national database and register of Australian South Sea Islanders, and networking.
Do fear our God and honor our chiefs.
One of the things that also came out was a focus on leaving an inheritance and creating opportunities and choices for young people. There was one nice phrase about having maybe a diplomatic warrior can arise from out of this group, and maintaining those Melanesian cultural values.
If you're in favour of an interim being the ASSI.PJ Port Jackson committee with representatives from each region, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you.
I moved down to Sydney and I went to a performing arts school where we studied dancing and acting. And it was really fun because my drama teacher, my acting teacher, on the first stage, she walked in and she said, the first thing I need to know is who can act? And I said, I can act. And South Sea, all of us.
When I go to Vanuatu, which is once or twice a year,
I don't feel good in myself standing in a line with tourists. I'm not a tourist, I'm going home. I'm not a tourist. And I get really upset that I have to be there. I should be standing over as a Ni Vanuatu with a passport that says that.
Last year, a number of the main political parties in Vanuatu signed a declaration saying that the Constitution of Vanuatu declares that if you have Ni Vanuatu ancestry, you have citizenship. Therefore, we want to give all Ni Vanuatu descendants in Australia automatic citizenship of Vanuatu, which would require a change in the Constitution to allow dual citizenship. So that's a move that has now started. To change the Constitution of Vanuatu to allow dual citizenship so that Ni Vanuatu descendants in Australia can qualify for citizenship of Vanuatu as well as Australia on the basis of blood ancestry, which is already in the Constitution. So this is an agenda that is now running. It's being supported by most of the main political parties. It's definitely supported by the chiefs and the population, so I believe it's a matter of time. We have the national elections this year. We're hoping that the next government will do it. And that will provide an opportunity for all of our families here in Australia to be able to move freely to Vanuatu, be able to own land in Vanuatu, be entitled to the customary land, the ancestral land that is their families. Because once you become a citizen by blood, you then have rights under the customary rules of access your tribal lands.
Throughout these last few days, there have been a lot of things revealed in the course of our discussion, not only during the official times of interactions, but also outside as we talk with one another through the times of meal that we share with each other. There has been an ongoing discussion, and there has been a lot of revelations of things, of ideas, of thoughts, of new knowledge of some of the things that has been lying dormant for many, many years. Some of them are very treasure to our hearts.
For in that land of joy and sorrow we'll never say goodbye, goodbye. No parting words shall ever be spoken in that bright land of love, but songs of joy and peace and gladness are evermore be ours. We'll never say goodbye in heaven. We'll never say goodbye, goodbye. For in that land of joy and soul we'll never say goodbye, goodbye. We'll never say goodbye in heaven. We'll never say goodbye, goodbye. For in that land of joy and soul we'll never say goodbye, goodbye.
May the Lord bless you.
I'm ready for the chariot goes, I'm ready to go. I never forget the day. Riding the chariot to see my Lord. When all my sins were taken away. Riding the chariot to see my Lord. My feet were swept from the muddy clay. Riding the chariot
chariot